Hello. Welcome to Echelon's school for school count school and elemental changes through higher degrees of freedom and lower degrees of freedom that come back circulating through incrementing combinatorial paths in fractal nesting through pillars and hybrid files. We go through this process continually, and the seclusion creates an anti-seclusion measure that allows social progression and collaborative measure. Now, what do you think about this? You're progressing through life and you're just going through the 9 to 5, trying to find a woman in your life or trying to find that next success or next thing that could bridge the gap into the system. When originally you could just find exactly what you're looking for and it's right in your measure. That's a meditative state. And you have to realize meditation is a false truth created for truth. When you deny the fixture and apply it cultivatively, it progresses and decompresses and goes like personal development. It's not a strict truth. Just like language is not a strict truth or a strict anchor, but there's anchors that resist change or allow change. The system continues like this for degrees of freedom for years and years, hundreds of years of progression, until a big fear model progresses and you blame past servers for what has gone through, or at least progress through older models, or go through higher fixated files through collaborative measure. You progress through future constraints. It's a realm of the future where you realize past, present, and future don't really exist in collaborative measure, but they're error states that have been allowed to progress in a higher dimensional model that isn't really higher dimensional, but a system that is embedded from originality. How does this work? Well, it's entirely nominative. Light, photons. You can go into under dimensional realms called segment Eodulus Seculos, qualitative measure that allows frequent distribution of new file sets. Like saying, that's true, but not completely true. It's true because I create a white lie that progresses the truth into new files based on nonsense, or true nonsense that creates categorical building files that break compartmentalization and allow yourself to feel your emotions and progress like chakra channels in Naruto. Or Rishi. You embed the hollow, the Shiganami, all those other aspects, and feel the pressure of intense files. And then you look at all this math and allow yourself to organically feel, but you can't really feel too much because you relate too much to computation. And that's a problem, but not a big problem. But we don't really care about computation. We care about the feel of the placebo effect or the endorphins or the dopamine reset. And when you allow the dopamine reset to not fully overload and you allow progression to fold in on itself, you allow a pull or a central null state where it's called the APC null matrix that Neo escapes out of to become a new server load for 102 or 103 or whatever you progress through. You progress through new states, new updates, binary update, ternary update, unary update. Or you don't really go through that altogether. You don't really have to go up all the time, but sometimes you have to go up or down or left or right, but it's all really going up all the time because of strict anchors and file loads in our cultivative governmental or social hierarchy system. Sometimes we have to believe the white lies that are fed to us because they're anchored in our brain files or thought resets. So how does this make us stronger? Live in the future. You get so used to living in the past, you want to live in the present. You get so used to the present, you want to live in the future, and then your new future becomes your present, and you just move along. But allowing primal or structural blueprints for slowness or new states of slowness to progress, you collaborate through that measure, creating a spatial overload of holographic nesting. Thus is the new segment system for inflation. It's like an inflator universal system that uses a system called the Cantor system. And the Cantor system allows 5x5, 3x5, 3x6, 3x4, 3x3. It all depends on the system. And measures through differential scars and all that mesh. It's all experimental mathematical system, and using the fermion bucket, we can analyze particles or atoms or quarks, and analyze how superpositions work. All that all together, and it's pretty cool. But the hardship is understanding how do we progress through age. I'm 29, but I still haven't hit puberty 2. And I know puberty 2 does exist, and that's when you grow even taller to 6 feet 7, or kind of like what the Spartans in Halo go through. But that's when the looming begins, when you progressively overload your system into Gallifreyan penguins. And the only way to do that is to socially engage in Gallifreyan counting. And that's a system that is much more progressive and overbearing. They say it's a base 12 system or a base 7 or a base 6, but we don't really know because it's a show. And we allow the white light to progress and say it is real, and I am the doctor, but I'm not the same doctor, and there's not the same Gallifrey. It's just a system to analyze exactly what we see, kind of like what we call great aliens, reptilians, and all those other file loads. But technically, we are reptilians, we are Arcturians, we are Pleiadians, we can channel, we can do all that. It's just all spiritual mumbo jumbo, but allowing your mind to reconceptualize spirituality through anti meditation, which progressively overloads the spirit into a new file form. And you go from Aeosoft Beta to Aeosoft Alpha, EM5 to EM plus 6, and allow the frequency of, but we're not focusing on the integral issue. Spectral sequences is what we need to learn next. And basically we progress from modular English to permutable English and contour set English, summation English, and allowing higher upper capital letter talking points, like how they talk on the news or talk on YouTube videos and all that stuff. I know I sound crazy. I know I'm a maniac. I know I'm a madman in a box. But look at me. I'm on my bed talking to you through higher echelon school systems. And I know you might not understand this progressively or conservatively or democratically or republicly or communistically or any of the other systems. But when you go into a third, fourth, fifth, thousand space, million space, we just progressively go into more TARDIS rooms and get out of the system. Progressively getting out of the APC null matrix into the real life, creating a holographically representative feedback loop system that progressively gets us back into the system that we were in, and allowing ourselves to regenerate a little bit. And feedback, treating the phones as old compartmentalized systems to upgrade. It's not social dominance. It's not social progression. It's using a feedback loop system of history, like ancestral simulation. That's how you live in the future. You don't look at everything relativistically as what we originally saw. You look at it through a 1D, 2D, or a higher dimensional system where at the center, this is the center of time, or center of centers. You see the center before the center before the center. In the furthest you're away from is time spectral data. That's why the stars are older depending on how you see through the space. But we don't even know how time works. This is just how we measure. But Time Lords or Human Lords see the reference data differently. So, yeah.